Ranch Summer.
Chicken sandwich loaded bread by hand. Angus beef sizzling burger and my best friend. I'm moving my hands, BLT ranch in my hand.
Excuse me, what's the weather? There's 100% chance of a
Summer, ranch, what a stunner.
Celebrate this summer with the new BLT Ranch hand-breaded chicken sandwich or BLT Ranch Angus Thick Burger from Carl's Jr. Feed your happy. Available for limited time at participating Carl's Jr. restaurants. Price and participation may vary.
Ever wonder what life would be like without frozen drinks and slushies from McDonald's? Yeah, I don't want to think about that either. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Right now at McDonald's, get an icy cold medium frozen Fanta Blue Raspberry or frozen Coke for just $1.59. Order on the app and pick up curbside. Price of participation may vary. Available for limited time.
Zimbabwe. The broken Bunsen burner burns so bright. Southeast Asian Peninsula.
Hey, Jamie?
Yes?
I think the only line we need from you today is drivers who switch to progressive could say big.
Cool. I just gotta finish my warm-ups. Foul, throw in the towel. History.
Switch to Progressive today.
Santa ski slalom in a salmon skin suit.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
For dinner, taste our creamy mac and cheese served in a crispy bread bowl. Or the classic bacon turkey Bravo, featuring our signature sauce. How about our new mouth-watering Chipotle chicken and bacon flatbread pizza? These and other favorites are waiting for you. Order dinner tonight for delivery or pickup. Only at Panera. Availability and pricing may vary.
The iHeart app. We've got you covered from the hardwood of the NBA Finals to the grass of Wimbledon and get you geared up for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Plus, get the latest gossip around the NFL with the NFL Podcast Network exclusively on the free iHeart app, as well as the Dan Patrick Show and The Herd with Colin Cowherd. And we always have the music with hundreds of playlists for anything sports. iHeart Sports Week on the free iHeart app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts all in one.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, we love you in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful July the 8th, 2021. Gondo Deportes, Bonjour, Big C. The Vidi Vici. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton got a little pissed off this afternoon.
Again?
I think somebody put a little booby trap out the road somewhere because I ended up with a flat tire. I had to go to a tire shop.
Yeah.
Had 2 nails stuck in my tires, so I think somebody was getting after me with little animals trying to get back their Heisman trophy.
Yeah.
But once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, and first responders, Charlton.
Yeah.
They would have taken care of my tire if they knew how to change it.
It's all for love and war. And speaking of tires, I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell me you want the ones with tires in that Big C situation. I want to say, and always go for it, never stop arriving. Also, all around the world, say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, needing 2 car tires, and he would do his thing from 3,000 miles away. Hopefully they didn't poke a hole in your boat, Big C. It's all fair level war, and I really do appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C. It's always good to pause, but I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And Big C, sometimes they also have flat tires, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, as you think about our country, we only celebrate Veterans Day 1 day out of the year, Charlton, which is not enough. Veterans Day is every day because our veterans exist every day here in America, Charlton.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of those veterans have problems that are beyond reach. And too many of them have committed to suicide, Charlton. Over 24 have done that on a daily basis here in the United States. I mean, as we have people around on a nightly basis celebrating victories of sports teams, Charlton, the Tampa Bay Lightning, congratulations on back-to-back titles. With baseball teams winning in their local arenas, Charlton, and even with the NBA Finals going on and the Phoenix Suns being up 1-0. People are thinking about those things, Charlton, and not thinking about our great veterans that gave us the freedom to be able to enjoy these glorious events on a daily basis. But we need to think about what all that they have sacrificed, Charlton, for this nation to be what it is. We talk about politicians and what politicians can do for us. Our veterans have done more than any politician has ever done for us, Charlton. They've given us the ultimate freedom in life, and we need to protect them on a daily basis and find a way to stop the suicide. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but we need all Americans to be concerned about the mental health of our great American veterans.
Very well said. That's why I love giving it out. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You could definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones, maybe even the person making the call. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Home Weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Verse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run king Barry Bonds. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, helping to put people back to work just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships are doing it, sports teams are doing it, watch TV, and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. When you want to get a mortgage, don't just be sure, be Rocket Sure. It's all fair in love and war. Also, I want to say all around the world, I want to thank Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for bringing Big C Sports to the universe, just like God said in Genesis 1:3. Let there be light. Open your cell phone to say it. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up from all over the world. You'll even see us on Comcast Television under the iHeartRadio app for Big C Sports. It's all fair in love and war. Looking to be on every NFL media guide for the kickoff of the 2021 season. It's all fair in love and war. Big C, can you tell me for sure, how do you know that it wasn't you driving through some neighborhoods that had those spikes? You know, when they have the spikes, they say don't go backwards, Big C, and you probably went backwards anyway, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, in the neighborhoods we live in, we have people to look out for us, and strange people should not be able to get in. But you never know what lies outside the gates of the community, Charlton.
Yeah, it's all fair in love and war. You never know what's on the outside of that gate. It's all fair in love and war. I know we have a great basketball game going tonight. There's a lot of things happening in the world of the sports broadcast media. I'm so glad that Big C Sports is not ancillary, getting someone's permission to tell people what we want to elucidate on. It's all fair in love and war. And I'm glad you got those used car tires back, Big C. Sometimes next time buy them new, Big C, you're done.
Well, Charlton, they had a lot of tread on them. That's all that matters.
It's all fair in love and war when you're going back roading. Speaking of back roading, in the universe, sports broadcasting, that's what we do, Big C. Some people say we do it great. Others people say, man, we talk too much about real stuff, just make me feel good. Sometimes I don't want to make people feel good. I want to make them feel loved. If you love someone, you tell them the truth. How they deal with it is their own responsibility. National sports broadcasting. When you think about it, all around the world, people can hear what we're saying. The National Association of Black Journalists, Big C, has called for a meeting with leaders at Disney, Big C, and demand change over a toxic ESPN culture that appears to promote racial bias. Entertainment and Sports Broadcasting Network, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it's very easy to see when you turn on the television what ESPN does. A Disney Corporation, Charlton, the largest broadcasting company in the world. You know, when you look at the faces that are on the screen and you see a lack of diversity as far as people of color, Charlton, being there, mainly from an analyst perspective, Charlton, that seems to be the only way that the majority of the minorities can get a job on ESPN.
Yeah. You know, sometimes They don't want the guys that have the experience playing the game. They want somebody who they went to school with as a frat brother or frat sister, and they'll get the job through nepotism and cronyism. But that's my opinion, and it's a fact that everybody knows is true. In the recorded conversation, I want everyone that talks about Black Lives Matter, fairness and equality. We want opportunities for women, for every community outside of black. Instead of saying we want black rights for black Americans, they include the LGBT community, they include the Asian community, they include the Native American community, they include the Hispanic American community. When it comes to white community, they just say white. Well, I want people to think about this, especially you broadcast brethren. I know some of our black brethren, they're too afraid to speak up because they're afraid of what you're going to do to them. And that's okay to be afraid, but it's not okay to be a coward. In the recorded conversation, I'm just going to say this. Nichols vented her frustration regarding the beautiful and eloquent and very talented Maria Taylor, Big C. She's absolutely amazing. She's African American. In fact, she looks like Miss Universe, in my opinion. Nichols said that Taylor continues to get favorable NBA coverage. Listen up, white America, because of ESPN's crappy long-time record on diversity, including being assigned to host ESPN's coverage of the NBA Finals. That's about 80% black men. An assignment that Nichols, who is Caucasian, that represents about 10% of the NBA, they chose her. And I think she thinks that they chose it because she's good enough. But listen up, ESPN. She said the people that pay her a paycheck, they chose to deal with their crappy long-time record on diversity, and you pay her 7 figures anyway. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, you think about if a black person would have made that statement about Rachel Nichols and saying, you know, the only reason she got the job because she was a white woman.
Yeah.
And, you know, how long would their employment be at ESPN at that point? But Rachel Nicholson has gotten a pass from making these racial statements against people of color on ESPN.
Yeah.
And to say that they're not qualified, the only reason they're being able to do the broadcast is because she looks like most of the players in the NBA, Charlton, which is totally wrong.
Yeah.
She's the optimum professional. She's been glamorous, and then she's done a professional job, whether it's college football, NBA basketball, Charlton. Maria Taylor has stood head and shoulders above, and not just in height, above all the women on ESPN.
She's amazing. Imagine, because we're real talk, I'm not trying to kiss anybody's butt. I know sometimes Big C brings that Southern hospitality or Southern hospitality, whatever it is, but he brings it in its own fair and level way as long as it's real. I want to say for the golf, in fact, the golf universe, about 90% of the broadcasters that cover golf, they're white men. About 90% of the golfers, they're white. Imagine if 80% of the reporters were black covering golf. That's what you have with ESPN when they send out their reporters to cover black men play football and basketball. It's just a fact. If you need to give her more things to do, this is what going back to Nichols said, if you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling, you know, women, you feel things in your gut. You're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, go for it, just find it somewhere else. The report from the Times also revealed that the only known person who was punished, you know, when somebody gets punished, listen up, mainstream media, for the entire situation, was Kayla Johnson, Big C. She's a digital video producer, which is how I got started in the business as a Chiron assistant. She is also an African-American woman. She told ESPN Human Resources, which you're supposed to go to when you have a grievance, Big C, in that she said they sent the video to Taylor, Big C, and I'll let you expound from there, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, you do what's right to do, Charlton, in the workplace when there's hostility or animosity or even racial epithet going on. She did that. She reported to Human Resources. They're supposed to be a protector of all employees, Charlton, and keep things private. And yet she loses her job because she went to Human Resources, and she didn't have a grievance. She just felt that there was an unfair, you know, situation at work.
Yeah, every company has an ombudsman, and you take your grievance to the ombudsman, whether it's sexual harassment, whether it's any other type of innuendos that make people feel uncomfortable, and that network has also dealt with its own employees who made women feel that way. So Johnson was suspended 2 weeks, listen up, women, without pay. You know, Me Too society, where are you guys? The woman's black. And given less desirable tasks at work when she returns, she's no longer an employee of ESPN, proud coverage of 90% of black events, Big C. Nichols commented, who's white, that the actions that followed over the last year were not only disappointing, but disparaging given the ongoing reports by black journalists of white men advancing at ESPN because of their skin tone and being pale white and not by their merit. Now, the NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists, released that statement, Big C, and I can verify it through my own experiences, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, this is nothing new. Everybody knows what goes on, but it's like I always tell you, who's in the room where it happens?
Yeah.
You know, that's always the key note, Charlton. Who's in the room where it happens? Who's making the decision?
Yeah, who's making the decision? And that's why I like what we do on our show. We don't have to always agree on anything. We should not be at odds, but we don't have to agree. But we do have to be factual. The way great Walter Cronkite, just the facts. ESPN's response, and I want people to listen up to this because you're not going to hear it outside of Big C Sports. They're going to water it down. I'm telling my opinion. You can Google it. ESPN's response to the matter was even more appalling as the Times has documented what appeared to be an attempt by ESPN to sweep the matter under the rug until it was recently exposed in greater detail. The person that did the exposing was an African-American woman, Big C, caused her to be suspended. The company's actions could have been alienated Taylor and left another black employee punished for exposing the matter. If for every employee in the country, in fact, every employer around the world, in the universe, if you have a grievance, Big C, you're supposed to go to your ombudsman and not lose your job over it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, ESPN thought, Charlton, that since you were black, you're supposed to be quiet and accept status quo.
Yeah.
And if you complain against a white employee, we're going to fire you. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and they got, a fact of the matter is, they got a lot of our other black brethren, sports guys, former sports heroes, and you don't have to agree, but they give people interviews that don't even like black people. And oftentimes, the only time they'll be around someone black is when they're at work. And when you hear how they really feel about you and your children, it's something negative. Like, you guys, how do you get the job? You can't speak. You're not qualified. You only get the job because you're a dumb jock. Just shut up and dribble. And then these athletes will come on and kiss the butts of these reporters and not even call them out, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, people have been quiet for years, but also you don't know what they actually say because most of these things are edited in an interview that you see on television.
Very well said. It's all fair in love and war. Again, one of the greatest orators in the history of the universe, the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he talked about the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. People just want justice. Black Americans have fought every war, stood up for every right that every person has, especially white women, started the civil rights movement by black Americans, and white women have marched into the executive positions of almost every corporation in America. They didn't do it with beating upside the head like the Edmund Pettus did, late John Lewis. They weren't sprayed with water hose, Big C. They weren't told that we will not let those Negroes into our college university like Governor Wallace. Segregation now, segregation forever. They weren't told all that garbage, Big C. But they've gotten in, become management, and even broadcasters. And some of our decent white Americans, yeah, they say something. But oftentimes they're too quiet when they should speak out more. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, isn't that like it's always a few bad apples in the police force and the majority of them are good? I mean, if you know somebody's bad, speak up against them. Otherwise, you're culpable to what they do and say.
Yeah, you're culpable to what they do and say. Just so you guys know, I know Big C has some flat car tires. It's all fair and love and war. He know they were given to him anyway for free, and then he goes back and gets the refund to get the money to get the new. It's all fair and love and war. But I want to say Big C and I were two handsome, in fact, two of the most sexiest men in the universe, black men. But every show we advocate for women. We don't always agree, but whatever we say, we just ask you to Google it. That keeps us honest, whether you like what we say or not. It's all fair and love and war. I believe all of our sports brethren. Sometimes the dirt will come out the wash, but you got to have honest dialogue if you love somebody. If you don't love them, just keep screwing them over. It's all fair and love and war. I want to say 3, 2, 1. Championships of the universe. The great Tampa Bay Lightning, Big C. They counted down 3, 2, 1. They got the one because that's all they needed, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning, Big C, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and they did it in a 9-month span. They got 2 championships in 9 months. They could have had a baby in that time, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, that's a short run between championships, but the Tampa Bay Lightning have been outstanding. Last year, they captured the championship in Dallas against the Stars. This year, Charlton, they did it at home against the Montreal Canadiens in an epic Game 5 last night down in Tampa. They scored in the second period and that was enough. You think about that goalie who had 5 shutouts, Charlton, during the Stanley Cup run. 5 shutouts. That's an outstanding outing for him every night.
Yeah, so you say he's earning his paycheck, Big C, your thoughts?
Oh, he's sliding on ice, getting everything right.
He also gets the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. A 1-0 win to close out the series 4-1 on Wednesday at home, becoming the first team to repeat as champions since the 2016 and 2017 Pittsburgh Penguins. Goalie Andrei Vasilevskiy, Big C, won the Conn Smythe Trophy and recorded, as you mentioned, his 5th straight shutout in a series clinching game. With the 5-game win, Big C, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Big C, they improved to 15-0, immediately following a loss over the past 2 postseasons. That's a good odds for the prop bettors. That's the longest such streak in NHL history, defeating Montreal in the 15th series win for the Tampa Bay Lightning, Big C. And in that span, no other team, Big C, has won more than 9, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about the chase for Lord Stanley's Cup, Charlton, that is the longest existing professional trophy in North America.
Yeah.
It was first presented in 1983. Think about that. We always talk about the NBA, we talk about the NFL, we talk about Major League Baseball. The Stanley Cup has been presented since 1983, the longest standing professional trophy in North America.
Yeah.
And for the Lightning to win it for 2nd consecutive year last night, Charlton, it was just spectacular. And to see as many fans outside the arena as you saw inside the arena, and they had 20,000 inside the arena last night, Charlton.
Yeah.
It was lightning in the air.
Yeah, it was lightning in the air, and half of them even paid to be outside. Tampa Bay dominated the first period of Game 5, holding a 13-8 edge in shots, 16-8 edge in controlled entries, Big C, but it could not get a puck past Canadians goalie Carey Price. He had a phenomenal game. However, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the rookie Ross Colton, broke open the scoring with 13:27 into the second period. And Colton was set up on a goal by defenseman David Salvert, Big C, the only other player on Tampa Bay roster who had not won a Stanley Cup, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, and Colton's a rookie. That's the reason why he's the only player on the roster who had not won a Stanley Cup, Charlton. But, you know, you think about him getting the only goal in the clinching game last night and being a rookie. What a spectacular way to end your season in your first year in the NHL, Charlton.
Yeah.
Being on the best team, hosting the Stanley Cup, and winning the game, scoring the game-winning goal.
Yeah, Big C, I'm a fan of the movie by Disney, Lightning McQueen. I used to love watching Lightning McQueen, Big C, the movie Cars. And did you say, what'd you say he had in his cup, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was sparked with lightning. I mean, you're down there in Tampa Bay. Who knows what type of liquor they could have scooped up out of those.
Yeah, when you find a cup in the ocean down in Tampa, be careful, don't drink it. You don't know what them good old boys put in that cup. It's all fair and level. Where I do want to say congratulations to the city of Tampa, Big C. Tampa's hosted, like you said, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. They also have the NBA champion. They were nice enough to host the Florida did it for the NBA champions. The state of Florida had it for the NBA champions last year, the LA Lakers. But then the city of Tampa also bringing in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the Kansas City Chiefs bout down to them in Super Bowl 55. It's all fair and level war. Congratulations to the Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning. When lightning strikes, get out. It's all fair and level war. Big C, you ever hear a guy by the name of Nelly? He looks like he lifts weights for fun. He has a song called It's Getting Hot in Here. So Big C, take off your clothes. Big C, keep your clothes on TV. I know you've been caught speaking in college one time, but that was a long time ago. It's hot in Phoenix, Big C. Some people say it's going to be about 190,000 degrees. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe 109 degrees. The NBA will be celebrating its 75th anniversary next season, and a new league logo has been created to commemorate the occasion. The NBA maintained the Jerry West-inspired silhouette, and I like that, in his new logo while recognizing its diamond anniversary with the background shape. The first ever NBA game occurred on November 1st. It was 1946, Big C, when the New York Knicks beat the Toronto Huskies by the score of 68-66. The league was known as the Basketball Association of America, and then the Philadelphia, now Golden State Warriors, Big C, won the first ever championship, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when we think about 1946, people today think that the NBA has been around forever, but only 75 years old, Charlton.
Yeah.
But it's become a fantastic part of America's landscape and sport.
Yeah.
And the excitement that it generates year in and year out, Charlton, with its plethora of talent that it runs out onto the court. And year after year, it's starting to change its face. But to have the Diamond Jubilee coming along with the NBA season, Charlton, it's going to be, wondering, can you have a repeat champ between this Milwaukee and Phoenix series entering into it next year?
It's all fair and love and war, Big C. I'm thinking Chris Paul might find his way in Los Angeles somehow next year. I don't know, just a rumor, you know how rumors get started. It's all fair and love and war. But I love the fact that the NBA is such a phenomenal game. And I might be wrong, but I think that the NBA, Big C, is the only sport in the universe that allows the patrons to sit about 1 foot away from the competition on the court. Nobody else has. Football doesn't have that. Baseball doesn't have it. Hockey doesn't have it. Boxing doesn't have it. The NBA sport, Big C, is the closest to the action that you can get live on TV or in the arena, Big C, is not.
No, it's not. Actually, hockey is, Charlton. When you think about it, the fans are right up against the glass.
Yeah.
Only the partition separates them. They actually, when a player's up against the glass, a fan can be up the glass, so you're only an inch apart.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen a hockey guy go into the crowd trying to get a loose ball, but it's all fair and love and war.
Oh, I've seen them go up there and fight a few fans, so they cleared the glass on a few occasions.
Yeah, but it's still, they have where the fans are right there. It's about 1 inch, maybe 1 foot away from the action. Is all fair and love and war. There's no glass in front of him. If Shaquille O'Neal wants to go diving for a loose ball, it's like, look out, duck! It's all fair and love and war. In hockey, he would hit that glass. But in the NBA, Big C, on the edge of the petrified national forest surrounded by the stark landscape of the painted desert, it is a town called Holbrook, Arizona, Big C. Once a Wild West locale, and gunfights, robberies, and cattle wrestling, Big C, a lot like what you find in New York City, Big C, at nighttime. 185 miles northeast of Phoenix, the beautiful city of Phoenix. The Milwaukee Bucks coach who played basketball there for his dad, Vince, a legendary Arizona high school hoop coach, Budenholzer, Big C, 51 years old, was emotional considering the magnitude of coaching in the NBA Finals in his home state, Big C, where his children, his wife, his parents, and his siblings reside. Big C, they're in attendance. The Bucks hired Budenholzer in 2018 as Jason Kidd's replacement. Budenholzer had just spent 5 seasons with the Atlanta Hawks down south, Big C, reaching the conference finals in 2016. The Bucks quickly hired him, Big C, hoping that he could unlock Giannis Antetokounmpo's skill set alongside Chris Middleton. And the rest of the roster, Big C, is a good story, but it's not to be over yet, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, no, I mean, the story's just beginning, Charlton. When you think of what Budenholzer has done over the last 3 years in the NBA, undoubtedly, Charlton, he's been the best coach during the regular season, during that run. When you think he had consecutive NBA MVPs and Giannis, and making the best record in the East 2 years in a row, Charlton, and now he's finally gotten his team to the finals. I mean, a tall task and a long hill to climb out there in the desert of Arizona, Charlton. But being in your home state, he had to have some mixed emotions in Game 1, which may have affected his coaching move.
Yeah, it's all fair in love and war. King Chris Paul said that's the mixed emotion. I second that emotion. Some group sang it back in the day. Was it Smokey Robinson? I second that emotion. Who sang that song, Big C? If you feel like giving me your lifetime devotion, that's Smokey Robinson? Was that Smokey?
Yep.
Yeah, Smokey Robinson is a lot of second that emotion with the great Chris Paul. He seconds that emotion. But Budenholzer, Big C, understands the importance of hearing what players say and giving them the ownership of the input. Now, the chief criticism, and Big C, you've had some criticism too, but I don't call it criticism if it's real. It's just about telling the facts. The chief criticism directed at Budenholzer is that he's too rigid, Big C, when it comes to changes and distribution of minutes, just like some relationships are too rigid, Big C. Some people don't believe in polyamorous relationships. Others do it in secret, but they still do it. At the same time, this season he adopted switching on defense and becoming more versatile and playing key guys more minutes. I want to throw it to you after this like a lob pass, Big C. There's been conscientious effort to develop more variety and more diversity both defensively and offensively. And Big C, you need that in the playoffs, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you need it in the playoffs, Charles, but I think he needs to go back to something as far as playing big players in the game. Yeah, I mean, Phoenix has a size and advantage, especially if you go into that situation tonight.
Yeah.
You know they lost their backup center in Phoenix. So when you look at Milwaukee and you can put 3 players on the floor, Charlton, that exceed 6'10".
Yeah.
When you got Giannis, you got Lopez, and you got Portis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tall task for the Phoenix Suns, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But I think, Phoenix is a guard-oriented team. They like to work on speed. The Milwaukee Bucks' greatest asset is their power inside.
Yeah.
And if they decide to go in and dominate the paint, they can even up the series tonight. That's what Budenholzer needs to think about.
Yeah. I think that's very well said. So that's not criticism. It's just the facts, and somebody don't like facts, and that's okay. It's all fair and level work. Speaking of facts, we're going to take what's called the Big C pause. And after the Big C pause, I want to come back and talk about another coach by the name of Monty Williams. He's been doing his thing. In the words of the former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, we'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow Big C Sports. I think we're up to like 14 now, and I really appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just go to the Comcast and pull up the app and put in Big C Sports off the iHeartRadio podcast. You will also see our podcast on television. It's all fair in love and war. I want to say, just like God says in Genesis 1:3, let there be light. Turn on your phone, all your apps, and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up. And remember, you have not because you ask not. It's all fair in love and war. Big C, I want to congratulate the great Monty Williams. Involved in his second season with the Phoenix Suns, he leads his team to the finals, Big C, after previously serving as a head coaching stint with the New Orleans Pelicans in 2010 to 2015. New Orleans has hired, think about it, they hired Williams in 2010 at only 38 years old after serving as a Portland Trailblazers assistant coach in the Great Northwest under Big C, the great Nick McMillan, now with the Atlanta Hawks, 2005 to 2010. Entering the San Antonio Spurs coaching staff under Coach Pop Big C on the 2005 NBA title team, and has submitted a 9-year NBA career. So Williams admittedly knew all he had the answers, but he had to trust his team. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, one of the things about when you get your first coaching job in any profession is that you figure you have all the answers, otherwise they would not have hired you.
Yeah.
And that's where you go wrong a lot, because you look at all the adjustments that have to be made continuously. It's a difference when you're a player, because the pressure's not on you, it's on the guy on the bench.
Yeah.
But if you walk out there on the floor just because you just left as a player and now you're standing on the bench and you think you can make that transition, it's a tall hill to climb, and Monty Williams had his struggle.
Yeah, he had his hard time climbing. It's like climbing Mount Everest or half Dome of Yosemite in a snowstorm with bare feet. It's not a smart thing to do, but some good old boys do it to their peril. It's all fair and level war. When you think about what happened, Big C, Williams soon realized that he did not know it all. Though the Hornets made the NBA playoffs during Chris Paul's final season, it's like wherever Chris Paul goes, they seem to find the playoffs. With the franchise, Williams was fired 4 years later. You can get hired, you can get fired, you just want the opportunity. At age 49, Big C, Williams has since grown through both opportunities and tragedy after you've had some life experiences and listened to people about their evaluations of you, especially people you respect. Anyone can be a knucklehead and have an opinion, but when people that you respect and they respect you have an opinion, you have no choice but to change. He said, I've learned I would rather be effective over right. I hope this time around there's a level of growth that exhibits that, and players have praised Williams, Big C, for staying calm both after wins and after losses. He knows that it takes a village, not a dictatorship, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, he's had a calming force over the Phoenix Suns. When you think about the run that they had at the end of last season, and Charlton, the movement that they've had this year, being the second best record during the regular season in the NBA. But to bring in an old friend, Chris Paul, who he had coached in his first coaching job, Charlton, and had a chance to reunite him, that he had a better situation with Chris Paul this time, having a better understanding of his floor generalship. And Chris Paul has delivered for the Phoenix Suns, Charlton, through the regular season and the playoffs, and Monty Williams has benefited greatly from that. He was in the running for Coach of the Year in the NBA also.
Yeah, in the running for Coach of the Year in the NBA also. But I want to ask you also, Big C, like a lot of times people think, oh, life is going to be so easy, they're going to go to the top of the ladder without having to climb the steps, or as you mentioned, climb the mountain. You know, Chris Paul, 16 years, he's still climbing that mountain. What is it about wherever he goes, they at least get to the playoffs or close to it, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you have to be with the right mentality wherever you go, and that's what Chris Paul has been the benefactor of when you think about that. I mean, even when he was in New Orleans early in his career, and he was able to help that team into the playoffs, going to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Doing the same for them as well as he did in Oklahoma City, Houston, and now in Phoenix, Charlton. Chris Paul has been a bona fide winner.
Yeah.
Some players just have that DNA about them in their system when you think about it.
Yeah.
Wherever they go, they happen to help potential championships.
Yeah, potential championship is all fair in love and war. I wish everybody nothing but the best. I know we're not into predicting, but for tonight's game, Big C, what does Phoenix have to do in your summary, and then what does Milwaukee have to do in your summary to cut down the Nets? Big C, your thoughts?
Phoenix has to beat it down and, beat the Bucks up and down the floor. They have to run a fast-paced, up-tempo offense.
Yeah.
They have to find a way to keep Ayton out of foul trouble. That's their biggest thing tonight, Charlton. They shot well in game one from the outside. Ayton was almost unstoppable, 8 out of 10 in the paint. But their rebounds, they were denying those second chance opportunities to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, they got to do their thing. It's all fan level war. And then the Bucks again, just to reiterate, because sometimes Budenholzer doesn't hear the first time. What do they got to do, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, they got to pound the paint. I mean, you got the big guys. You got to take them down there and utilize them.
Yeah.
I know Middleton, at times can go off, and he needs to be out there launching in from three, but they also got to play with the height advantage that they have. They got to park down in the paint, Charlton, and utilize it.
Yeah.
Tell Giannis, don't shoot anything over 10 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
Stay inside. That's where your game is. And Phoenix knows that.
Yeah.
But he still has to play that. Keep Lopez inside.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis can get you that half a dozen points, Charlton, in a quarter to give you a kickstart.
Yeah, it's all fair love and war. They just got to listen to the great Jesse Jackson when he said, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. No, keep the pain alive, keep the pain alive. Playing the pain is all fair love and war. I wish both teams nothing but the best in the heat and humidity of the city of Phoenix, Arizona. College basketball, Big C, how Tennessee State's Hersey Miller, son of great rapper, and when you think about this man, he's a business tycoon, Master P, will spend his $2 million NIL deal, Big C. When you think about that, the American rapper Master P had to smile when he heard what his son, Hersey Miller, an incoming freshman on the Tennessee State basketball team, plans to do with the $2 million he will earn from an endorsement deal with a technology company called Web Apps of America. Hersey Miller, he's only 19. He took advantage of the NCAA's rule change that allowed black men to stop being sycophants for old white men and giving them all your free labor the same way slavery did. And don't give me that garbage about to get an education. They just got an education and stopped being robbed. It's all fair and love and war. But taking advantage of that rule change, that student athletes can earn money just like the white men that were running around for free in endorsements and involving their names, image, and likeness beginning July 1st, Big C. Says, I'm grateful for this deal, but I'm putting this money up, and I have to play like I have nothing, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, you can't let it decide what an athlete is going to be now, Charlton. If you're good, you're good. But the advantage of being able to go out there and earn a living from the time that you leave high school is a great advantage now for these student athletes.
Yeah.
So when you think about Hersey Miller, Charlton, signing this $2 million endorsement deal, and that's just the kaleidoscope. The greatest thing that I like about it, Charlton, that he's going to an HBCU. Think about it.
Yeah.
The largest endorsement deal by any college athlete thus far has been signed by an HBCU player at Tennessee State. This is where Ed Too Tall Jones played his college football and basketball at, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, kids can now go back to the HBCUs and realize that they don't have to do without.
Yep. It comes from a history of exceptional education, but it's easier when you have more money as opposed to starving and trying to get good grades. When you have more money, life's a little bit easier. So the exception is that Hersey will become, think about this, he will cover the bill to pay for gift bags for the kids who will attend a books and ball camp he and his dad will host July 21st at Tennessee State Gentry Center. Big. So he said, for our camp, I'm making sure all the kids have books, bags filled with school supplies, why Master P's son chose Tennessee State over LSU, UCLA, Vanderbilt, and many others, Big C. Master P came from some tough background, Big C, but he's always been intelligent. He just needed an opportunity, and now he's using his money to give opportunities. Master P's offered advice to other parents who are in the same situations as he and Hersey were. When they negotiated Hersey's deal with Webb Adams of America, a technology company committed to supporting historically black colleges and universities. I want every young African-American player in the universe, even Rachel Nichols, who's made money by putting a microphone in front of the mouth of a black person, even though she doesn't think they're talented enough to have a job that she deserves or she thinks she deserves. The great Master P, who earned a scholarship, Big C, to play basketball at the University of Houston, the Cougars, Big C, before transferring to Merritt College in Oakland, California. Think about it. Is convinced that athletes who are more stable financially, they perform better on the court, like we say in the school system. A kid can learn better when his stomach's not hungry, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's what the Black Panthers proved, Charlton, when they started the early breakfast program for underprivileged children in East Bay, where Merritt College is, where Master P ended up finishing up his degree.
That's right.
So, you know, when you provide for a child, and he is fed and rested, Charlton, he will achieve more in life.
Yep.
And now that the HBCUs, Charlton, have the same opportunity as the Power 5 schools, Charlton, around the country, that they can bring in these athletes and they can also get these sponsorship deals. Because when you have companies who want to back HBCU students, Charlton, the promotional dollars can go to those students and balance out the slate.
Yeah, Big C, you're saying Black Americans spend money too, Big C. Your thoughts?
Spent a whole lot of money, Charlton. I spent some today getting my tire fixed.
Yeah, we know those tires were given to you as a sponsorship, but it's all fair and level. It's all fair and level war. Big C, the pitch. Hit deep. Right field. Back to the wall. Home run. Everybody's hitting home runs. Girls love the long ball, and men love hitting it deep. It's all fair and level war. Speaking of hit deep, it seems like every day brings another milestone for the Angels two-way starter. Not Mickey Mouse down at Disneyland. Disneyland is the second most coveted location in Southern California in Anaheim, because there's a guy by the name of the great Shohei Ohtani who's trying to get more coverage from Mickey Mouse, Big C. After a day of outdueling fellow All-Star Nathan Eovaldi, Big C, on the mound against the Boston Red Sox Wednesday, it saw Ohtani make history in the batter's box, Big C. The great Shohei Ohtani, he slugged his 32nd home run, hit deep. It's all fair and level war, Big C. His 32nd home run of the season in the 5th inning, setting a new record as the most for a Japanese-born player in Major League Baseball history. He passed Hideki Matsui, Big C, who homered 31 times in 2004, which is his second big league season, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the most home runs hit in Major League history prior to the All-Star break, they're all owned by minority players, Charlton. Sammy Sosa from the Dominican Republic with 33.
Yep.
Now, when you think about Shohei Ohtani last night hitting his 32nd, and Matsui, Charlton, hitting 31.
Yeah.
Non-American-born baseball players, Charlton, hold that records prior to the All-Star game of the most home runs hit in America's pastime.
And it's amazing how most of our white scouting companies that work for these Major League Baseball teams, they will avoid the inner city and they'll go to the suburbs to try to get the white kids in the Major League Baseball, but they will go to the Dominican Republic where they can pay people peanuts, and you have minorities that are setting records. It's all fair and level war. It's just a clue for guys that want to win. Ohtani reached the mark in his 81st game as a hitter. Think about this, Big C. Matsui played in all 162 games in 2004. Matsui released a statement congratulating the great Shohei Ohtani on his accomplishment, calling him a true long ball hitter. Hit deep. He likes to hit it deep, Big C. Ohtani's leading the majors in home runs. Mike Trout's making most of the money. He's on the, obviously, just my opinion, a little bit cynical, but it's okay. Now that Ohtani's become the best player maybe in the universe, the guy making the most money in the universe pulled a hamstring, or of sorts. I'm just saying, Big C, sometime when you're being outshone, you want to disappear. It's just a rumor. Ohtani's leading the majors in home runs, extra base hits, and slugging percentage, while also tying the American League in triples, Big C. He also ranks 9th among all pitchers with at least 60 innings in strikeouts per 9 innings, 11.69, and is 4-1 with a 3.49 ERA in 13 starts, and he plays on the same team as the highest paid player in the baseball universe. Big C, your thoughts?
He's been phenomenal this year, Charlton, and he's been more than advertised with the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah.
You know, he's the top runner right now for the MVP of the league if he can stay healthy, and everybody's waiting to see what he can do at Coors Field during the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's all fair in Leavenworth. I know you're talking about Coors Field, but this section is sponsored by your Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 1% on its game, and it goes great with the Big C Burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats, and everybody gets the winning Big C Burger for the winning team. It's all fair in Leavenworth. That means Shohei Ohtani, he's going to eat a lot of Big C Burgers. I know who's that guy, Joey Chestnut, that eats like 76 hot dogs? How many Big C Burgers can he eat, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, a hot dog is a different animal.
It's all fair with a different animal, and it comes with exotic meats. Major League Baseball, the great Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Big C, has Major League Baseball high 73 RBIs, Big C. Rumor has it he's not batting with the laser beam. Major League Baseball checked his trousers to make sure. Only 4 times in the Toronto Blue Jays history has a Blue Jay player led the American League in RBI. Edwin Encarnacion, 2016, had 127. The great Josh Donaldson in 2015 had 123. Carlos Delgado, 2003, had 145. And Greg Bell in 1987, maybe he was batting with a laser beam. He had 134 Big C.
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays, Charlton, has had some outstanding outfielders in the history of that organization.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't been around that long, but they've won a couple of World Series to go with that. But, you know, Vlad Guerrero, when you think about this young man emulating what his dad had done already at baseball, Charlton,
yeah,
this is just one of those phenoms that have come along lately.
Yeah, he's come along lately, Johnny Go lately. What's the great Janet Jackson saying, "What have you done for me lately?" He's been doing a lot lately. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Janet Jackson singing a lot better than I did, but I didn't open her top when she had to sing it with me, Big C. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Remember, Janet Jackson had her top pulled off at a Super Bowl party by Justin Timberlake, and she got criticized, and Justin Timberlake went on to become even more famous. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was a prop that they both set up.
Yeah, but one got punished, and the other, hey, it wasn't his fault. They said it wasn't his fault that he pulled her bra out. Have a black man pull out the bra of any white person on TV and see if they'll say it's just a prop. No, they would have cost him his job. It's all fair in Leavenworth. Major League Baseball, Trevor Bauer. This is what I'm so a little bit perturbed. I use my degree language. A little bit perturbed, Big C. But it's unfair because I have women in my family that I love dearly. Trevor Bauer's administrative leave was extended an additional 7 days. Thursday, as Major League Baseball continues its investigation into sexual harassment and sexual assault allegations, more than harassment but assault, against the Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher, that they were still trotting out on the mound until they went to visit President Joe Biden at the White House, and they said, you know what, this would not be a good idea. And since then, they put him on what's called administrative leave. I think a lot of black men have been cut or suspended indefinitely. Major League Baseball, and you don't have to agree, Big C, Major League Baseball and the Pasadena Police Department, they are conducting separate investigation into Bauer after a woman accused him, listen up, women that want to meet men that you met online and you meet them in private because you're stupid. Don't be stupid. Listen to what happened to this woman. Bauer, after a woman accused him of choking her until she lost consciousness on multiple occasions, punching her in several areas of her body, and leaving her with bodily injuries that required hospitalization, all because she swiped left and swiped right, as a lot of women are doing foolishly. Some are not as lucky as this woman who was just brutalized and hospitalized. Over the course of 2 sexual encounters or assaults, because you don't file a lawsuit or make a police complaint over an encounter. You make a police complaint over an assault. 2 different things. Think about this. This year, the last of which occurred May 16th at Bauer's Pasadena, California home. She went to the home of a stranger because she swiped left and swiped right. And a lot of foolish women are doing the same thing. Now, Bauer vehemently denies her account with 2 meetings and allegations in the strongest possible terms. before I throw it to you, Big C, any man with a daughter, or a mother, or a wife, or a girlfriend, and you're defending men who send women to the hospital and say, oh, she wanted it to be rough, advise your daughter if she should do the same thing in the arms of a stranger. And I just think I want to make that point, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this comes down to Rob Manfred and how he handles it. He's had major league pitchers dropping their pants out on the mound in front of the stand.
Yeah.
Now he's got Trevor Bauer dropping his pants at home in front of a woman and beating her up.
Yeah.
And so there's a criminal complaint against that, Charlton. Major League Baseball has suspended him now 2 consecutive terms of 7 days, a total of 14 days.
Yeah.
This is a situation where Rob Manfred has to man up for once as the commissioner of Major League Baseball and just put a season-ending suspension on Trevor Bauer.
Yes. Ladies, listen. I know you got mad at Tiger Woods because women were offering him sex when he was winning Masters. And the whole media jumped on it to try to make him some type of predator. They even made him go to counseling. They shamed him on national television because a white lady was trying to sleep with him all around the country. And a white woman, his former wife, broke out the back of his Cadillac Escalade with a golf club. Imagine if he chased her down and broken out her window in the back of her car. It would have been a totally different outcome. But Big C, if you could just, again, this is that same thing with the lady Nichols insulting Maria Taylor for being excellent and talking about why she's getting opportunities because ESPN feels bad about their ability to run away from black people giving them jobs. They love you when you have a uniform on, but when it comes to paying you, they find reasons to go on pause. Just touch on again how Bauer, they don't want to suspend him. They keep pushing the suspension down the road. The lady still went to the hospital, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're kicking it down the road just like he was kicking her down the hall in his house.
Yeah.
But in reality, Charlton, he has to be suspended for the year by Major League Baseball. If you don't, then that means that Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball condones Los Angeles Dodgers pitchers for beating the crap out of women, Charlton, anytime that they feel like it.
Remember that, women. Every 20 seconds, it is hard to believe, but talking to law enforcement friends, and you can Google this information, as I've seen butterflies all over the place. Every 20 seconds, allegedly, a woman is assaulted in the United States. And baseball is saying this guy can still play as you're buying his tickets and buying jerseys for the Dodgers. And I stomp for the Dodgers, but wrong is wrong. That's just my opinion, Big C. Today, Major League Baseball schedule on a beautiful July the 8th, 2021. The Cleveland Indians at the Tampa Bay Rays, Big C. The Atlanta Braves, I'm telling you, they did a thing that they beat up so good on Pittsburgh yesterday. Maybe they'll come back and want to do it again today, Big C. I really hope that they take a little bit, what they say, please hammer, don't hurt them. It's all fair in love and war. But today the Dodgers at the Miami Marlins down in Florida. It looks like they're trying to remember how to play baseball, Big C, with Bauer. As you mentioned, Bauer's probably been the reason that the Dodgers went on this light skid. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, no, he's not the reason, Charlton. They just gotten beat up on. I mean, they gave up a walk-off homer last night against the Marlins. I mean, the pitchers are out there. You don't worry about who's not in the rotation.
Yeah, don't worry about the rotation. The Oakland Athletics at the Houston Astros, the Colorado Rockies at the Arizona Diamondbacks, the New York Yankees up in Seattle at the Seattle Mariners. Big C, there's been a rumor that somebody's been eating the fish without pain. I told him, check the luggage coming out of LaGuardia and JFK. The Royals at the Cleveland Indians. The Philadelphia Phillies at the Chicago Cubs, Big C. The Tigers at the Minnesota Twins. The Cincinnati Reds at the Milwaukee Brewers, Big C. The Nationals at the San Diego Padres. Tatis is the real deal. That team down in San Diego, they're starting to give the Giants and also the Dodgers really some real stiff competition in the West, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, one of those teams out there in the West will not make the playoffs.
That's not right. They should open up for all the good teams. Don't just leave it for some of the sorrier teams to come in and play Major League Baseball. It's all fair in love and war. But I wanna just say congratulations to everybody in baseball doing your thing and trying to do the best you can to keep sports happy for everybody that loves the game of sports. Big C, I want to go across to Tokyo, and for all the people getting ready for the Olympics, the Summer Olympics in 2021, spectators are banned from the Tokyo Olympics, Big C, amid rising COVID-19 cases as a state of emergency. And some people think that COVID's over. but the Olympic spectators are banned from the Tokyo Olympics. The ban, which comes just 2 weeks before the pandemic posted and postponed the Olympics Open. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, COVID-19 is spiking, the new variant in Japan right now, Charlton, and it's only for health reasons that you're going to ban people from coming all over the world and coagulating in one place, Charlton. So this is the proper move by the IOC.
Yeah, it's a proper, whatever people got to do, stay your distance from people, especially in large crowds. I know a lot of governors are saying, hey, go ahead and work out. It's okay. Get together, take your mask off, and do everything you got to do to hope you don't get sick. I mean, use your precaution. It's all fair in love and war, Big C. I want to just say the world of college sports is a new era, Big C, of college sports is here, and companies offer sponsorships to athletes across the country. And Wednesday, the UCF made history with the name, image, and likeness era. College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving is the first company to sponsor an entire team, Big C, adding on the Central Florida women's basketball team. In addition to their current deal with the Miami's De'Aaron King, University of Miami, the Hurricanes, University of Central Florida women's basketball becomes the first team sponsored in the NIL era. That's a good thing, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, people were trying to figure out how this was going to work. But we see not just individuals, as we saw Hersey, Master P's son, getting a $2 million deal, but the college team, the females college team, Charlton, the entire team being sponsored by a moving company down in Florida. So everybody will benefit. It's just a matter of how you structure the deal. And this deal was brokered through De'Aaron King and Mackenzie Milton's company. They have a promotional company that they set up. So these guys are going to be getting a cut of everybody's deal, Charlton. They were head and shoulders above everybody else in kickstarting this NIL agreement.
Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I also hope as we get closer to previewing the NCAA college football kickoff, Big C's thoughts. I love going down conferences, Big C, and talking about who's going to play who, and also the NFL football universe. We're going to get into some of Big C's thoughts on big games to see in 2021, just 63 days away from kickoff. We'll get Big C's thoughts as we get to opening of NFL camp. But speaking of NFL camp, I know that everybody is loving the fact that we're getting so close, Big C, to having young people. They realize that they just need an opportunity, and these college kids, they're showing that they're a lot more than dumb jocks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, what has happened is not that they're showing that they're more than dumb jocks, is that marketing companies have found other ways of spending their marketing and advertising dollars, Charlton. When you understand the exposure that a college athlete has, especially during a game, you think about buying commercials on a national broadcast, Charlton, that is being a primetime broadcast game. How much money you would have to spend with the network just for that one-time event. So when you think about who's really benefiting from this, Charlton, are the advertisers who are paying these students money. Because you think about a basketball player during the regular season, they're going to play 32, 33 games in college basketball. A football player is going to play at least 13 games. So when you think about not having to pay for a commercial, Charlton, that comes on and only going to run for 30 seconds, where you'll have these kids on the sideline and on the court and on the field for hours on end. Think about the amount of money that the advertiser is going to make that is not going to have to be paid to the network, and they paid directly to the performers now.
Played directly to the performers now. First and 10, 40-yard Cleveland 5-man formation by the Baltimore Ravens. And Mayfield's back to pass. Here comes the rush. He's sacked by Calais Campbell. Sacked for a 5-yard loss with the Baltimore Ravens defensive end. Calais Campbell, Big C, plays in his hometown of Denver this season. His team won't be the only Ravens in the Mile High City, Big C, playing for the Baltimore Ravens, and he's going to put the sack down on a lot of people this year. Campbell donated $30,000 to his alma mater, South High School, in the beautiful city of Denver, Colorado, to help with the process of switching his nickname from the Rebels to the Ravens, Big C. The money will aid in new uniforms, gym flooring, and signage throughout the school. It was time to make a change, as he mentioned. Michael Jackson told us about that. It's time to change. Big C, he said that it represents Campbell and what he wants to do. The high school's nickname has been the Rebels for nearly a century. Since the school was founded in 1926, it was rooted in Civil War imagery, and the school's mascot was a Confederate soldier until 2009, Big C. Campbell remembers how the old nickname affected him growing up as a young black kid. His teammates went so far as saying they were rebelling against the injustice so they could try to embrace it when playing there 17 years ago. And I'm proud that you have conscientious men that are saying, I can't be quiet anymore. It's time to look at that man in the mirror, and it's time to make that change like the great Michael Jackson told us in one of his songs. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, as we look at white society in America, when we look at the separation of the cultures and them trying to still hold on to something that tried to destroy this country from being one.
Yeah.
When you think about the rebellion of the southern states, Charlton, and the Confederate soldiers and the Army, how they attacked the sovereignty of the United States and created an insurrection back in the 1800s. And people still today want to celebrate these people through recognitions of flags, uniforms, and monuments, saying that they were American heroes for killing Americans. And so it's good that you're getting rid of all of these things. I know the outcry that they had against Native Americans on team logos and uniforms, Charlton, and sought to abolish that. And it seems that there was more vitriol towards the people wanting to abolish the Native American bannership, Charlton, on sports teams versus what it has been trying to get rid of these Confederate symbols, which should have never been allowed.
I agree, Big C. I know my family grew up in the South and came out to California because they wanted a better way of life, not because they wanted to leave where they grew up, where they were born, but they wanted to get away from the vitriol and all the garbage that a lot of people of color had to deal with. And I'm proud of conscientious black men that are speaking up the truth and not worried about what somebody says or asking another person's opinion, whether this goes to Rachel Nichols or Maria Taylor. I think as people break bread, they realize we have a lot more in common than what we have not in common. But I'm very honest, and some people don't like what I'm going to say, and that's okay. But it's true. Too many of our white brethren in the sports and broadcast media, in the sports and broadcast universe, they know they got jobs because of cronyism and nepotism, not because they were talented. Oftentimes, they don't even look like the majority of people playing the game that they're paid millions of dollars to cover. But they get that job anyway because of their skin color. I will speak up for every black man who's afraid to say that, because I know a lot of you guys are afraid because you got to read that script. If not, the man's going to put you on the street. I'll say this one last thing and I'll throw it to you. If you don't stand up now for your children and make things easier for them so they don't have to leave and go thousands of miles away to make life better for their country, you can make life better where you are. You can burn your ships where you are. But don't stand up for the crooked and the evil people who are doing wrong. Stand up for justice. Stand up for liberty and pursuit of happiness, no matter what color. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I've always fought for, independence and standing up for justice, regardless of people wanting to say about me in my entire lifetime. I've had people call me the uppity N-word, even though I'm confident and intelligent. But when you're that way as a black man, often you get called the uppity N-word that has been used forever. Just stay in your place. Why do you have to be that way? Why do I have to be what way? Go get an education like anybody else that was allowed in America? I think once you get to the level playing field of that and you judge a person based on their intelligence and not even just their looks, Charlton, their intelligence, what they can bring to the situation, and not be intimidated by their intelligence, I think we would all be better off. But so many white people are intimidated by the intelligence of black people, and they always want to downtrod it in whatever ways they can, whether they want to say, well, it's only about equality that they can advance. No, they advance because they're merit.
Because of their merit, and it's all fair and love and war. It's okay to speak the truth. You got to speak the truth. Last thing, I know we have an NBA game tonight, but I want to congratulate Miami Heat legend, the great Dwayne Wade, for visiting Surfside Collapse Site. And he thanks what you do on every show, Big C. The great Dwayne Wade, he thanked the first responders, and it's not just grandstanding. We do it on every show, and I appreciate other men for doing the thing. It's all fair and level war. Big C, final thing, when you cook that venison, or do you turn the heat up above 116 degrees, or does it cook just as well when it's only 100 degrees in Phoenix? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, who knows what the Milwaukee Bucks will be saying tonight. They might be quoting the great Elton John. Don't let the sun go down under me or something.
Don't let the sun go down on me. It's all fair and love and war. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, You float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm looking forward to an outstanding Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight down in Phoenix. I think if the Milwaukee Bucks can play that physical game down in the paint, that they'll have a great opportunity to walk out and even up the series tonight.
Yeah.
Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They will be there if anybody gets sunburned.
Yeah, if anybody gets sunburned, you're born sunburned in Phoenix unless you run the AC 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps you can follow them. You can even follow on television, and I really appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. I want to just say, like my beautiful mama always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, you just rise and shine. And we thank you, and we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.